A few seconds. Good morning. My name is Sean Shapiro. This is Ask a Traffic Cop, and we are just getting ready to join Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010, where we will answer questions with his audience. We'll answer some questions that is important to people in the city of Toronto. But of course, we are going for an hour and a half this morning. We're going straight to 11 o'clock, where we'll continue after the radio segment is done. We'll continue here on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram Live, everywhere. We'll be talking to you. We'll take your questions and get you some answers. So if you've got traffic and police questions, feel free to ask. That is what we do here. And for some reason, there's something wrong with the computer, and it says there's no internet. That can't be. Maybe there is a problem with it. No, it can't be. I'm talking to News Talk. Well, something's wrong with our chat bot, and I'm scared to press reload. Maybe we'll try that after the segment. In any case, we are doing things. So if you've got questions you think that the people in Toronto should hear about, let me know, because in just a few moments we'll come onto the air in Toronto, News Talk 1010, and we'll talk to you about them. So yeah, exciting stuff. Exciting stuff. What are we seeing here? Master Technician is talking about lawn tractors. Okay, lots of interesting things going on in the city. I'm you know what? This is a Wednesday, and it doesn't necessarily feel like a Wednesday to me. I don't know why. I'm not sure. It's a relaxing Wednesday. Is that even possible? It's hump day. It's halfway there. Tomorrow will be Friday Junior, and that's exciting. And what else? Oh, we've got a ticker. Oh, 60 seconds. Okay, we're getting ready. Let me see if the yeah. Okay, the audio is live, and very shortly we will be hearing some audio. Question from Peaches is, how are you? Well, I'm doing well. How are you? Yeah, it's another magical day in the city of Toronto. And I say that without being, I'm not being facetious. I'm not trying to be funny. It really is. Any day you're above ground is a good day. Okay. Can I drive a 26-foot truck with a G license? I believe you can. I've rented the straight trucks before. I believe you're good to go. It's a weight thing. So there may be a restriction on your, well, there is a restriction on driver's license, but 26-foot trucks or straight trucks, I think 26 is covered under it. You know what? If you are renting it, check with the rental company. They know. And if you DM me, I'll get back to you after the show, because I want to get you the absolute correct information. But I don't know if there's a cutoff at 26 or 25, but there is a limit. I just don't recall what it is. Okay. Here we go. I got a cue.
This is the Jerry Agar Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
Time again to have a visit with the TikTok traffic cop. That's Sean Shapiro from Traffic Safety Programs, Traffic Operations. He's regularly on TikTok answering traffic questions at Traffic Services, and once in a while we dip into the program and do it there and here. Good morning, PC Sean Shapiro.
Good morning, Jerry. Long time no talk. How was your vacation?
It was great. And yours?
I had a fantastic time. Florida misses me already.
I'm sure they do. So let me get into some questions with you here. Actually, John Moore, about an hour ago when I was promoting the show, asked me to ask you this question. It had come up on the morning show, and it is, when you park somewhere and you're legally parked, but you can't park there all day, it's a 3-hour limit, do police officers still mark tires?
So police officers don't, but parking enforcement officers do mark tires. They have a number of ways of checking. But marking tires is absolutely one way to do it.
Yeah? Is that easily rubbed off?
It is, and if you are so diligent that you continuously rub off the tires, you might get away with it. But there's also a way of marking where your tires are in terms of the valve stem. So there's other ways to do it, but that's just one way.
All right. As this question was sent in, why does there seem to be no enforcement on drivers who drive in the night or even the daytime with their high beams on? It's frustrating, this person writes.
Absolutely, and it is obviously against the law to improperly use your high beams. And one of the biggest problems we see is people don't even turn their headlight system on. They assume that they're working because their daytime running lights are on, which are, by the way, the high beam bulbs that are directed as high beams, but they're on lower power. So there's a number of issues at work, and people do get pulled over and charged on a regular basis. I call them ghost cars, because if you're behind them, they're completely blacked out, but their headlights are on. How does that work? It's high beams at low power. But it is against the law. It's a $110 fine.
Okay, but somebody wrote, I think people are getting high beams mixed up with the LED lights.
And that's possible too. There are different types of bulbs that do appear to be far brighter than your old style, barely lighting the road light, and they may be less enjoyable to stare into, I guess. But they're still legal if they're sold from with the vehicle. They were approved by Transport Canada. They're good to go. It's the aftermarket bulbs. You can't actually change your use aftermarket LED head bulbs or headlight bulbs. They're against law.
Another written in question. I'm terrified to pass a cop even if I'm doing the speed limit.
Well, if you're doing the speed limit, you can pass a cop. It's the people who choose to exceed the speed limit and pass the police officers. I don't understand the logic there because you're not allowed to speed. But if you're doing the speed limit, you're doing nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with passing us. We may be doing something else.
Why is the cop dilly-dallying down the road?
Well, you know what? We're doing a lot of different things, and we're watching other drivers. And nothing says you have to do the speed limit. You have to do. You can't exceed it, but you don't have to meet it. It's not a minimum speed; it's a maximum.
You know, I outed myself and my fellow early morning drivers on the Gardiner by saying that we were going considerably over the speed limit with the few of us out on the highway sometimes. I know that's not an excuse. I get that. I couldn't complain if I got a ticket. But this morning there was a guy doing 40. Man, I wished I had one of those big cow catcher things on the front of my vehicle so I could just push him off to the side.
Well, 40 would be unreasonable. There is something called unnecessary slow driving, and that person is putting people at considerable risk because there's an assumption that people are at least doing the speed limit or somewhere in that range, and that person doing 40 is a hazard. You're allowed to go below the speed limit if it's reasonable. You know, weather it could be a reason, but if your vehicle doesn't work, get off the highway. You shouldn't be on there. There's no reason to go that slow in a 90.
How long do I have to sit at a red light before I can go? Example, dark road, 4 a.m., no traffic at all. I've been stuck at a light for 10 minutes before I give up and turn right.
Well, give up and turn right is the right answer. You cannot go through a red light. Making a legal right on red would be the solution. There is no provision or exemption in the law that allows you to set a timer and then goes through the red light if nothing's going on or if it doesn't seem to be working. In some states in the U.S., that is a law. Not the case here. So the suggestion would be make the legal right, make a legal U-turn where it's safe to do so, or turn into a driveway. Use a safe way to get around.
Here are the numbers, 416-872-1010, 416-872-1010. If you have a question, you want to call toll-free, 877-518-5151, 877-518-5151. You can text us at 71010, and you can join us on TikTok at Traffic Services, which is where Sean Shapiro answers questions on a regular basis. In fact, you're doing it through till 11 this morning, aren't you?
Yes, we're doing an hour-and-a-half show today. You know, our viewers get upset sometimes because we're focusing on your listeners during the live, so we want to give them extra time. We don't want anyone to be offended. Give everybody their own spot.
Well, no offense to the people on TikTok. In fact, why don't we dip into that? What kinds of things are people worried about on TikTok this morning?
One question actually just popped out at me. It says, do I have to pull over for green lights? And what they're talking about are green flashing lights that you might see in your rearview mirror. And that is for volunteer firefighters. My suggestion would be, yes, you should be pulling over. And there's no legal obligation. It's a courtesy. So that's a volunteer firefighter trying to go help somebody, either put out a fire or save a life. Yeah, pull over. Let them by. It doesn't allow them to speed. It doesn't allow them to go through red lights, but it is to signal all other drivers that they're going somewhere important, and the right thing to do is to move over.
Well, here's an interesting little observation somebody made. Northbound on Spadina, just south of Eglinton, the cars go up on the sidewalk to get around the traffic. How can that be stopped?
That's good to know. I'll be sending that to our enforcement team. You can't drive on the sidewalk to get through traffic. People need to have some patience. We have a big city. We've got lots going on between construction and other things happening in the city right now that are causing some congestion. We need to plan ahead, give ourselves a lot of time to get to where we want to go, and patience is key. I like podcasts and radio.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of that, what is the obligation of a cop when they are on that paid duty thing and they're watching a construction site? I had this come up. I was on Yonge and in Davisville, I think it was. Traffic was all backed up and there were all kinds of problems going on. And if there was a little traffic management by a police officer out in the intersection, I could see that the traffic would move more smoothly, but the cop just stood there with a Tim's in his hands and watched.
I can't speak to each and every spot because I've done paid duties and it's been a long time since I have. But every employer, every job hires you for a different reason. Sometimes it's to control traffic. Sometimes it's to assist when there's an issue. So I don't know what they were directed or asked to do there. I'm pretty proactive. I get my arms flapping, and it's a busy day. But definitely, if we're there, we want to try and help out. But people need coffee too.
I realize they need coffee, but it's just basically standing there watching the girls go by. Here is Asher from Toronto. What's your question?
Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, Constable Shapiro. My question is this. The urban/suburban F1 Formula drivers wannabes who retrofit their cars to be as loud as possible have become a plague. What laws, if any, exist that you are not allowed to modify your vehicle to disrupt everyone else's peace and quiet while you live out a fantasy driving down Bayview Avenue?
In your loud Honda Civic.
Exactly.
Oh, there are so many offensive vehicles, and there's some beautiful cars that people, I don't know what happened to their own hearing, that they somehow think that the popping and whirring of I saw a BMW yesterday that seemed to be straight piped. It sounded horrible. It sounded like it was farting as it was going down the street. And it was horrible, but and it was loud and it was against the law. So what are the laws? There's a specific requirement to have a muffler, to have a properly working exhaust system, to have and when it's a muffler, it has to be a muffler that functions to muffle sound. A resonator is part of that picture. So there are requirements to have equipment installed in the vehicle, and if you don't have that equipment, you can get charged under the Highway Traffic Act. Now, additionally, there's a charge called unnecessary loud noise. Sorry, I was talking over you.
No, sorry. I was just going to ask: are there decibel limits to how much noise a car can emanate?
So a mechanic will, if they're looking, or to safety a vehicle, if they're looking at a vehicle, they know that 74 decibels at idle is the maximum amount of sound that can be produced at idle. However, there's no decibel rating when the engine's being revved. And that's where unnecessary noise and driver behavior come into play. So if your muffler doesn't work because of defect, it's not a proper muffler, you can be charged there. If you're just creating noise, whether it be your stereo, your exhaust system, honking your horn for no reason, there's an unnecessary noise law under the Highway Traffic Act that we regularly charge people with. And it's more often than not behavior.
Asher, I appreciate your call. I appreciate all your calls and the TikTok questions. We'll get into some more of those as well as we continue here with the TikTok traffic cop, Sean Shapiro. If you're looking for him any day on TikTok, it's at Traffic Services, and he's with us from time to time as well, including in the next segment on the iHeartRadio Talk Network. It's 9:45. News Talk 1010 Time Saver Traffic.
Well, crews are still on.
They're going to go to commercial. We're going to stick into our own little world for a few minutes. Let me just see here what's going on. Do you guys hear a hum? The radio says that they hear a hum. I hear a hum. I think the air kicked in. Yeah, just letting them know if they're not listening. Okay. What are we going to do? Snow is going for a smoke break. Good to know. Okay, let's see what's going on. Oh, no hum. Sleepy Can doesn't hear the hum, so that's good to know. I hear something mildly, but these are audiophile technician folks that are in here. Hey, if you don't already follow us, please do. I have a ticker in front of me. It's a cool site. I was talking about it yesterday. It's livecounts.io. 574,531. That's how many followers we have right now. So if you're not already a follower, please do join us, because we do this Monday to Friday from 10 to 11 a.m., answering your traffic and police questions for at least an hour. And today we're doing it for an hour and a half, so we don't, take away from the awesomeness that is your time, because we appreciate that you are here to get your stuff answered. And when we're sitting talking on the radio, it's not the full Sean Shapiro experience. Maybe that should be my new website. All right, what do we got here? What do you do in a roundabout when an ambulance is behind you? My suggestion is exit the roundabout at the first convenient opportunity. So that's the next one. Signal your intention to go and then pull over. Obviously, you don't want to block them. And you can't stop in the roundabout in most cases. So I would just exit it and get out of the way. What do we have here? Oh, here, what is this? It's scrolling too fast. Can be trespassed to okay, we got somebody answering the questions in the chat. I love the fact that this is not just me answering questions, that there's an active community that is, chatting and helping out in the comments. Really appreciate it. Between folks who have been moderating for us and helping out, and just members of the community in general who are just here all the time, because I see so many of your usernames on a regular basis. So thank you to you who contribute to what we do here. We are going to be announcing, we have a press release going out. We had a campaign that ran all last week, and it was a motorcycle safety campaign, talking about what's what in the world of enforcement. We had people, police officers across the city, issuing tickets for the Big Four, similar to what Vision Zero Enforcement does, but we were doing it throughout the city, and we were focused on areas and situations that might negatively impact vulnerable road users, and especially talking to people in regards to motorcycle use. So I'll be talking about that a little later on. What do we have here? A lot of kids drive alone with their G1s. What do you think of it? Well, let me tell you. Actually, let me hold that one for when we come back to the radio, because that's a really fantastic question. Hello, Sean, watching from North Dakota. North Dakota, I think you are the first North Dakotan? What do you call someone from North Dakota? But you are the first person from North Dakota to say hello to me. So, hey, we've had Ireland and all sorts of international viewers. So you are our first international. If there's anybody else international, you want to beat North Dakota as being the only one, let us know where you're from. Oshawa doesn't count, although hello from Oshawa. We need more motorcycle awareness. People have to open their eyes. I'm typing this from the hospital. No kidding. That's Christian. Now, were you just involved in a collision? I'm sorry to hear that. I had a collision. That's sort of how I found myself in this social media spot. I was a motor squad officer who was involved in a collision due to the actions of a driver. And this was one of those things that I can clearly say I did no wrong, but they did, and it's really changed my life. So I'm hoping that you have a speedy recovery and that your injuries are minor. Obviously, you're in the hospital. It's not a good thing, but hopefully you recover quickly. It takes a long time. Don't get frustrated, even though it will be frustrating. Hello from Hamilton. How you doing? We got 60 seconds, and we'll be back. I'm going to put them back in the forefront. Here we go. South Georgia. Right on. Hello, South Georgia. Southern California. Oh, I've got family in California. I've got very close family that should be visiting more often, but they don't come in as often as I'd like. Washington, D.C., how you doing? Oklahoma. Oh, North Dakota, you're getting knocked around here. You got North Carolina. Lots of folks from our friends south of the border. And like I mentioned to Jerry, I was just in Florida. I just got back a couple of weeks ago. Newfoundland. We got folks from Newfoundland, from the Rock. 30 seconds. Okay. We're just socializing here until the radio comes back in, and then we're going to start with G1 drivers unaccompanied, because I think it's a great conversation. Terry Copeland, North Carolina. Texas, right on. Everything's better in Texas, right? Or is it just bigger in Texas? I want to come visit Texas. Okay. When can you launch control? On a track. Maine, New Hampshire, England, like London, England? Wow, okay, I think you just beat everybody out for being the farthest right now.
We're back to the Jerry Agar Show on the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
And it's another exciting session with PC Sean Shapiro, the TikTok traffic cop, getting your traffic questions answered. I call him the TikTok traffic cop because he is regularly on TikTok at Traffic Services answering questions. He'll continue to do that through 11 o'clock this morning, but is with us here on the radio until 10. Sean, I want to get a TikTok question. We'll take some calls, but I want to read you this text message that just came in, because this is something I think a lot of people inevitably end up dealing with. And this person writes, I have an elderly neighbor who has dementia. His wife doesn't drive. He drives. So she doesn't want to stop him from driving, but she has to tell him how to get where they're going. He can't remember how to get home. He can't remember how to get to the grocery store. So he's driving, and she's saying, turn right, turn, that kind of thing. And said, I mow their grass because he can't remember how to operate the lawnmower. He's 76. He's not at the age for mandatory retesting. Is there anything the police can do?
Absolutely, and we regularly have to do this, where we submit a report based on information received to have their driver's license reviewed. And obviously, the doctor can suspend him medically, and before it gets to become a police issue. But police can put in a report along with doctors to have them reviewed. And ultimately, he shouldn't be driving. I appreciate that freedom is a big thing, and my grandfather drove till he was 94 until he fell and broke his hip, and he says, "Okay, I'm going to give up my license now."
Okay, but we've been talking this week, and I wrote a column about it for the Toronto Sun, and that is an investigation that was actually done by the Star that found that we have some doctors who just hand out these notices to take away driver's licenses like candy because they get $35 and change every time they do one. What I would want to see is that the guy has the ability at least to defend himself with a driving test or something.
So the deal is, and this is my understanding, is a medical doctor can simply suspend your license medically. When we put in a submission, we provide the information provided, and then the ministry does an evaluation onto their own. And the system that they take, I'm not familiar with. I don't know what they do, if they interview you or if they test you, but it's a process. It's not an immediate thing when the police do it.
Yeah, no, somebody writes in and says, leave the poor guy alone. We're an oppressive state. No, he may be a danger to himself, his wife, and to other people. That's the issue.
I at one point had followed a driver from, I'll say from about Eglinton. He drove the shoulder of the Don Valley Parkway South all the way down to Richmond. I had my lights and sirens on the entire time. I eventually got him off the road, and he was disoriented. He just didn't understand what was going on. These are situations that we have to deal with when we have drivers who should no longer be driving. And, I didn't know he's a medical emergency or if it was simply a situation of dementia. But that person got the help they needed.
Let's do a TikTok question.
So this question that we had while we were on break, and I think it's fantastic, is apparently there's a lot of people that are young drivers that have their G1 who are driving unaccompanied. So they have their learner's permit only, and they're getting behind the wheel. And this viewer wanted to know what the consequences of that were. So I think it's a great one to talk about. First off, there's a charge for driving unaccompanied as a G1. Unaccompanied means not being supervised by a qualifying G driver. That's someone with a full G license and 4 years experience sitting in the front seat with less than a 0.05 BAC, blood alcohol content. So that's what's required. So you get a ticket for not having them. But additionally, you're not an insured driver. If you're involved in a collision, the claim on the vehicle is going to be denied. So that's something to know. Additionally, the person who allowed that driver to get behind the wheel with a condition that they be supervised is allowing somebody, permitting their vehicle to be used by a person who's violating a condition. They can be charged under the Highway Traffic Act too. And if you say, well, I didn't give permission, they took it without permission, that's a criminal charge now for that driver who took a vehicle without consent. So it's a very, it's a more complicated than getting a $110 ticket.
Here is Arun from Mississauga. What's your question? Arun?
Oh, hi, Gary. This is Trevor.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. My question is this: how important, guys, is your attitude when a police officer pulls you over? Like, for example, a couple of years ago, on a Sunday, I was heading to church. And I was speeding. I was on the Bloor viaduct, and I didn't realize that it was a 50. I was going like about 70, and then when the cop showed me his laser gun, it was like 70. So I just apologized to the cop. I was saying, sir, I didn't know I was speeding. My apologies. And he let me off. So how important is your attitude when a cop pulls you over?
I think you've just answered your own question. Ultimately, your attitude obviously got you some weight there. If someone tells me that I'm wrong and that they weren't doing 70, there's less likelihood that I'm going to be reducing a ticket roadside. I tend not to let people off. That was a lot over the speed limit. There's nowhere in Toronto, in the city, where 70 would be acceptable. So you got very lucky.
Does crying and/or cleavage help?
No, at least not for me. Okay. I'm sure for some, but not for me. I don't like theatrics. If you take responsibility for what you've done, you've got a better chance of than if you try and sway me with emotion.
There's a tech question that came in from the shop. They're having an argument at work in the shop, and that is, now that marijuana is legal, where should you transport your weed? In the glove box? Is it okay if it's locked, or does it have to be in the trunk?
It's the same thing as alcohol, essentially. If it's factory sealed, where it's got that sealed from a legal dispensary, then it can be anywhere. It could be anywhere at all in the vehicle. If it's open or broken, it has to be outside of reach of the driver. So the trunk is the best place.
All right. Here is Greg from Ajax. Greg?
My question is, are buses, when they're turning left onto a multi-lane road, either on a regular green or in advance, are they allowed to swing wide into the right lane as quick as possible? Because I've really been hit by a few buses making the right turn.
There's no exemption for buses to make improper turns. We may have just lost TikTok. I see a light went off, but we may have lost. Okay. Yeah, it's an improper turn. So you have to go into the appropriate lane, and they can make a secondary move after they've established that they're in the appropriate lane, but they can't just swing wide. That's not lawful.
Okay, because I've found it a lot of here in Ajax. They do that coming out of the GO station. They'll swing wide right into the right lane because there's a bus stop just up the road.
Well, here's the thing: if they enter lane 1 and make a lane change, it's okay. If they in the intersection go wide, that would not be lawful.
I was on Spadina coming to work this morning, dark and early, and there's a turn lane next to, I'm going straight forward north on Spadina, and the turn light came on, and the vehicles to my left began to turn, and a big truck, not a big semi-truck, but like maybe an F-250 or something like that, the guy decided he needed to come partway into our lane in order to make the corner. And I thought, if you don't know how to drive, stay home.
Listen, it's one thing with a big rig. An articulated vehicle takes a lot, and they have a sign that says they're making wide turns, and they need some extra space to do it. Otherwise, they simply won't be able to function. It's a little different when you're talking about an F-150, F-250. They should be able to drive properly.
Yeah, here is Mark from Guelph.
Hey guys, how you doing?
We're well. Go ahead.
Question about the 49cc two-stroke engines that people are bolting onto their bicycles, or have been for some time, and the law or the legal aspect of them seems to be a bit of a gray area, whether they're actually entitled to drive them on the road or whether you're not.
I can clarify for you. They are absolutely not legal for the road. They are motorcycles, and they are not only motorcycles, they're motorcycles that don't have VIN numbers because they haven't been approved by Transport Canada. So they are not lawful for the road, only off-road use. There's a belief that if you have under 49 cc's that they're this free zone of do what you want, and it's not the case. So people who are doing this know that they can be charged for drive no insurance, drive no license, drive without a license plate, a myriad of things.
Okay, did you get your TikTok problem solved?
It's bouncing in and out, so I'm seeing red light, green light, red light, green. So I have to reboot my phone.
In Toronto.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, well, good luck with that, because if all goes well, Sean Shapiro will spend an hour with you as well over the next hour on TikTok, and I look forward to our next session. Thanks very much.
Always a blast. Take care.
This is the iHeartRadio Talk Network.
So this is weird. I don't want to break what's going on, but I do want it to be stable. So I'm tempted to shut down the phone, reboot it, and maybe it's going to work. And that's all I can hope for, is to fix what's wrong. Although it's working, no, it's all I'm seeing is lag on the other end. Well, let's see what's going on. We'll keep motoring. We got some folks here on, and the chat's not working on YouTube. So maybe we just shut it all. I don't want to break things. Oh, goodness. Let's reboot everything. I'm going to reload this page. We might lose you. We might not. And we're going to see what happens. Okay, I've rebooted the app. Hopefully I didn't lose anybody. I've never done this before, but it seems to be working. Make some noise, but it's still spinning. So we'll give it a second to see if my loop is now working. All right. I love stress. I love the stress of technology. It makes me so happy. Okay, let's see if we're back. Can you hear me clearer now? Well, I'm glad. I'm going to put back the good old graphic. Unless we determine that this stinks and we don't like it. But I think it's good. And I want to hear what you think. Let's put this back and see what happens. And give me some feedback. Let me know. Is this better? Not better? I'm going to reload this page on the... We actually had a power failure here, and I'm sure that's to blame. I don't know if it was this particular location or what. We're back on the web too. Cool. Well, I'm here. It's working. I'm happy. This is fantastic. Hey, if you don't know who I am, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police constable with the Toronto Police Service here in Ontario, Canada. And I do this Monday to Friday because I'm a media relations officer, because I'm a traffic educator, because I'm someone who cares about what happens to you when you're out on the road. And it doesn't matter if you're in a car, motorcycle, bicycle, or if you're walking around, if you're rolling around, if you're in a wheelchair. I want to make sure people are safe. And I had a fantastic conversation with John Westhaver yesterday. He came onto my podcast. It's called TPS Traffic Jam. It's available wherever podcasts are downloadable. It's also available on our YouTube page. It posts live. We haven't aired this one. I just recorded it. I have yet to edit it. However, he is a crash survivor. He received burns to 75% of his body. His 3 friends that were in the car with him were killed in that collision. This is when he was a teenager. What an amazing story! If you want to, watch his story, just Google John Westhaver. You'll see all sorts of information about him. But we had a really good session, and I hope to speak to him again because he's a fantastic guy. Hey, now I see the chat. Leo Wife, thank you for letting me know that you are still here and that the chat works, because I had a dinosaur icon. That's what it said. It was calling me a dinosaur. It wasn't working. And Ryan Pinn, thank you for the update. And okay, here we go. Back into the mix. What is this? What is this? Okay, if an older car has a discrepancy on the speedometer, can a speedometer app be used as a supplement? Interesting. I've never had that question before. At the end of the day, you're going to be judged on your actual speed. Actual speed. So if you were doing 10 over, you're probably not even being pulled over, because it tends to be that your speedometer would be inaccurate. And it depends on what speed. It'll be more or less accurate in different areas. And the reason I say at 10 over, you're probably not going to be pulled over, because there are so many people doing 20 and 30 over that we're going to look for the faster people. That's not an invitation to speed, by the way. You can be pulled over and charged at 1 kilometer over. But in that situation where you have that discrepancy, I'm trying to work out this problem. So the deal is that you could go to court and say, hey, there's a problem, but you'd be obligated to fix it. It's not enough to say that it's an old car and it has problems. Now, if it's really old, like it's a Model T, you're probably not going to be doing or capable of getting up to speed even 10 over. But it's an interesting discussion, and that's really a court's question, because if you're technically for speeding even 10 over, now let's say 10 over in a 30 zone, yeah, that's significant, 25% more than what you should be doing. You're going to get a ticket, and the excuse of my speedometer don't work isn't going to cut it. But at that speed, you're probably only doing 1 or 2 kilometers over. So that you might not have a problem. You might have a problem, but there's certainly no excuse. You're still doing the wrong thing. Okay, most dash cams have speedometers built in. Yes, they do display based on GPS, and GPS might be accurate, but it may not be accurate. We can't guarantee. Some will say, or many say, it's more accurate than your speedometer. Mine is pretty much matched, so that's a good thing. But you can't rely on a device that is not your vehicle. I don't think. Well, check it out. It's good to have a secondary speedometer. Obviously, if one says 60 and one says 90, we got a problem. All right. What is this? What is this? I don't know what this acronym. What is? Can you please explain why we can't? Oh, no, this thing's spinning by. Why we can't fight in court? I don't know what we can't fight in court. If you were charged at fault in a collision, can you get off because obstruction of view? It depends on what you're obstructed with. Was it fuzzy dice in your mirror, or what kind of view are we talking about? Listen, everything depends. Court is one of those things where you produce your evidence, you tell your story, and an independent trier of fact determines whether or not you're guilty or not. It doesn't really matter what we think. We'll put the facts, and they determine who's at fault. Someone says, after 180 kilometers an hour, the speed cameras can't catch you. What genius came up with that statement? Okay, don't listen to people who say 180 miles per hour. That's a real fast. Okay, that's a real fast car. Well, someone's choosing to drive quickly. Can I drive my side-by-side down the road to my work at my farm with my G1? So if your side-by-side requires you to have a license, first of all, side-by-sides are generally not on the road. My understanding is they require a full G to be on the road in the municipalities that allow them, and a G1 wouldn't count. So I would have to tell you that your G1 is not acceptable. Does rapid acceleration to speed limit count as dangerous driving? It could be. It all depends. Everything depends. Things like that are very gray because as long as you're not breaking the speed limit, is there really an issue? Well, if you chirp your tires, you've just broken traction. That's stunt driving, even if it's a little chirp. Could be perceived as that. If you're racing or there's another vehicle who's also accelerating and it's perceived as racing, that's stunt driving. There's a bunch of things here's the deal. Most laws are based in common sense. Common sense would tell you that accelerating quickly to your speed may be fun, but not smart, or not a good idea, or more dangerous. What happens when pedestrians assume that you're going to accelerate gradually to speed, and then they end up having to jump for their lives because you're surprising them? Even if you just scare them, it's enough. It could be a charge. Depends on the observations. Oh, we're going to... Fantastic. They're going to be shutting off the power, which means we're going to lose some of our access, and the internet's probably going to go down. Nothing but excitement here today, folks. Okay, that was the perfect time to test the power on our generator. 6 minutes into our show. Well, at least our dedicated show. Okay, let's keep on going and try and muscle through it. Hopefully, now I will not be losing TikTok because TikTok runs on LTE. Our lights will go out, so you'll get to see me try and make them go on again. But don't leave. We will get over this hump. YouTube, hopefully we can get through this. Fingers crossed. All right. What do we have here? Flame. What do we have here? I'm 22. Can driving after 12 a.m. So I'm assuming you're in Ontario. I'm assuming that you're talking about having what driver's license do you have? It all depends. Conditions on your driver's license matter. G1, G2, and so on. Let's talk about it. But tell me what you have. Why can't we fight a vehicle inspection ticket in court? Are you talking about getting so if you get a vehicle inspection, you can't fight the inspection, but if you got a ticket, you can fight the ticket. You have a right to fight the ticket. But if you're talking about commercial stuff, I understand the inspection sticks on your CVOR regardless, because they're qualified to make that inspection. What is this? Obstruction of a tree blocking view at stop sign. Take pictures. Use it in your defense. That's evidence. That you can take that to court. Okay. I have a G2. So G2 has conditions based on the occupants, but you can drive 24 hours a day with a G2. It's just that you may have, in the first 12 months of having your G2, there's conditions as to who can be in the car with you. There you go. And yes, someone in the chat says G2 can drive anytime if the driver is alone. Quite right. What is this? How do you know the speed limit in a school zone if it's not posted? Unposted speed limits in your areas, there's always going to be a speed limit posted unless it's when you enter a city. Like, for instance, in Toronto, I believe it says the standard is 50. It probably used to say 60, but it says 50 now. In any case, you're responsible to know. But it used to, 50 and 80, those are the unposted speed limits in most of Ontario. How long can someone drive in Toronto on an international driving permit or international license? So there's a bunch of depends. If you are visiting, you can use your foreign driver's license for up to 3 months. That's if you're visiting. If you're staying for longer than that, you have to get an international driving permit in addition to your foreign driver's license. Up to a year, I believe, is the total. If you become a resident in Ontario, within 60 days, you have to apply for an Ontario license, at which point, whenever you make that application, your foreign license is no longer valid here. So you would instantly become an Ontario driver, and that is the license. So if you got a G1, you'd be a G1. If you become a G because they honor what you came with, then that's that. But don't get caught in that middle where you're like, I'm going to stay here for a year and not apply because you'll get charged, and they won't accept your license. You got to make sure you're doing everything above the board, especially because you want to be covered by insurance. Aside from all the other issues. Austinator says, I have a question. There is a speed thing that tells you how fast you're going on my street, and I see the speed limit is 50, but they marked it down to 40, and the light is flashing. Does not take pictures. I didn't do it. Someone else did. What do you mean they marked it down to 40? Like someone modified it, and it's supposed to be 50, but they've messed around with the buttons? If it's a police device, call the local police, and they'll come and change it and set it back up. If it's something else and someone's been hacking it, I'm not clear on your question. So who's they? But the ones that are just note boards that tell people what the speed should be, Those don't take pictures. Those aren't speed enforcement cameras. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Q hasn't been on air for a bit, but we hope to have her back soon. Well, the cops changed it. Okay, so Austin says that the police changed it down. So is the speed limit changed, or are they just wanting to notify people and get it flashing sooner? I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't know, because that's just a very specialized, unique question about a specific area that I have no idea about. But it's a good question. I'm curious now. Let me know. Send me a message in Facebook, or send it to our email, trafficsafetyprograms at torontopolice.on.ca, and I'd be curious to find out where it is and whatnot. Okay, let's talk about the Vision Zero enforcement team for a second before the lights go out. Today being the 22nd of June, they're in 31 Division and 51 Division. That's Black Creek, Humbermead, Glenfield, Downsview, St. Jamestown, Cabbagetown, Riverdale, Church and Yonge. You know, these are neighborhoods that those divisions service, that they serve. They want to make them safe. And our Vision Zero enforcement team, which is a dedicated group of officers who give out tickets, not hugs, because they're trying to change driver behavior to make the roads safer. They do this by looking for drivers who choose. Remember, it's choice that drivers engage in behaviors like speeding, distracted driving, aggressive driving, impaired driving. These are things that are known to lead to serious injury and death on our roads. And Vision Zero, the whole theology behind it, the whole idea is that we accept that minor collisions, they're going to happen. But the ones that lead to serious injury and death are both preventable and totally unacceptable. Yes, acceptable. I can't speak today. The deal is that if you choose to engage in these behaviors, you should expect to get a ticket, and you certainly shouldn't whine and cry about it when you get one, because you chose to do what you did to get the ticket. That's just what it is. Want to be a safer driver, want to avoid Here's the lights out. I think we're back. Nothing like the exciting adventures of Reboot the Entire Station. Give me one sec. One last one. Okay, that wasn't as bad as I thought it might be. Can you hear me? All right. Hey, so this has been a very disruptive episode. Things not going as to plan, but you know what? We're the police. We roll with it. We make it work. You can't plan everything. You can't bank on perfection, but it seems to be working, and we're back. So thank you for muddling through and hanging out with us. Let's see what we got here. Let's look at some questions. We can hear you. We can hear you. That's awesome. Thanks for all the feedback. I really appreciate it. Hey, if you're new to the channel, you don't follow us already. We do this Monday to Friday. Or very rarely do we have power failures or power checks, but it's a thing. So if you don't already follow us, please do. Share this with your friends. And as you may have heard earlier, we've been seeing and hearing from people all over the world, the United States, and even we had someone from England who came up. So, what is this comment? Canada has free electricity for you, just like healthcare. No, there's no free electricity. But we do always. One of the big things about policing is planning for that what if. We have to always have the power on. So what do? We turn the power off to see what will happen and make sure our generators kick in. And we are very diligent about checking these things. Not me, but the people who actually check. Because I just show up and turn the lights on and go on TikTok, right? All right. Akamitsu says good morning. I think I said that correctly. If I didn't, please let me know. And then I still won't say it correctly because it's not phonetically written, I don't think. Great username. That will leave a mark. I like that. Did I tell you about livecounts.io? I think I did. So I'm watching a ticker. We're at 574,572. That's like 2 away, and we'll be 574, which is just kind of neat for no reason. Have you ever thought about becoming a member of the Toronto Police or police force in general? Well, if you were thinking about it but needed that little push, let me give it to you. We're currently hiring. Check out www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers for more information about becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, because we need good people, and you're good people. If you're interested in becoming a member, check us out. There's also access to our not coaches, what am I thinking of? Recruiting officers. They're fantastic people who want you to get hired. They will help you. They'll give you information to help, not hinder. They'll give you everything you need to get to the next level, and the rest is up to you. Now, what else can I tell you? Harley Davidsons, like them, hate them, doesn't matter. We're raising money and helping to promote Special Olympics Ontario. They are currently running I say currently, every year we do this. There's a Harley that's purchased. They raffle it off to raise money for Special Olympics. It's a fantastic charity. They do great work in the community, and we want to help them. And you can help them too, and you might win a Harley Davidson doing it. www.harleyraffle.ca will take you to a site that allows you to buy a ticket, 1 for 20, 3 for 50. And there's really not that many tickets available. I think it's 5 or 7,000, something like that. In any case, buy them before they're gone, because you might win. I would like to win. I could use a new bike. I like them. I was a member of our team here, the motor squad. I love riding Harleys. It's better when somebody else pays the gas, but just saying. Okay. What are we looking at here? I need some reading music. There we go. That will leave a mark with saying I thought about it, but then saw the paperwork required to apply and then said forget it. Okay, that's reasonable. It is definitely a competitive process. It is definitely a labor-intensive process. But you know what? When you want something, you make it happen. And it isn't easy, but what that is easy is worth having. So this is a great place to work. Now, not only are we hiring police officers, but we're hiring parking enforcement officers. If the posting isn't currently up, I believe it's coming soon. So keep that in mind. We also hire all sorts of positions. And by the way, who thinks we should do this all the time? Background music all day long? Okay, let's do a poll. So happy, sad face, happy face, obviously we should have background music all the time. Sad face for no, but I kind of dig it. Maybe background music is what we need. Maybe. Let me know. We'll make it happen. If you think it should happen, we will make it happen, because this is a show for you. It's really just all about you. Let's see what's going on. I just got a report from Time of Sleep. Apparently I got 4 hours and 26 minutes. Wow. That's terrible. I need to get more sleep. Okay. Lots of faces coming in. The overwhelming response is that we do need background music for the entire show. We could probably make that happen. What are the charges for running away after pumping gas? I believe it's theft under. I've never actually laid a charge. I've not been involved in that. But I think that's what it is. Let's see. Now, since there's been so many people saying we should have music in the background, let me hit this button and see what happens. Chill, ambient, maybe ambient. Let's try that. This is not the music I want to hear. No, this is terrible. Chill. Okay. This is royalty-free music playing in the background. Let me know if this is good or bad. And if it's bad, we're going to change it real fast, because I don't know how long I can take it. I'm thinking it's kind of bad. What are the other options? I know we're not... It's lounge music. This could work. Hopefully it's not a short link. Let me know what you think about this. If it's good, we'll keep it. If it's not good, we won't. How fast are police allowed to go in a pursuit? Here's the deal. Pursuits are very dynamic, and the risks to public safety are always in the forefront, the decision-making process. So we're not looking to go crazy fast. We want to be safe. Safety for the officer. We don't want to push someone to go faster because we're chasing them. We have other ways of dealing with things. Phone a friend, get a helicopter. Air support is always fun. A lot of people on the radio, so we can have roadblocks and other options. Speed doesn't have to work because nothing's faster than the radio. So we're not going to go silly fast. But that's not to say that we won't identify the vehicle and we won't be waiting for you when you get home, or one of many, many ways of dealing with people who don't want to stop for police. Why don't we put more speed cameras throughout Ontario? That's a great question, and I personally think it would be fantastic. Now, like my friend Jerry Agar, who was on the radio with me this morning, he says, no, we don't want that. We don't want a government that is watching us so tightly that you can't go a kilometer over the speed limit. No one wants that. I get that. Nobody wants that. But we also don't want people speeding. So what do you think would be the way to get people to slow down? Now, some people say, well, what you should really do is raise the speed limit because it's too slow. I disagree. Speed limits are good, and they've been working for a long time, and your Bembo brakes don't make stopping better because, yeah, they technically stop faster, but you can't account for anybody else. Racing situations don't include pedestrians in the track, and you know what? You have to be paying attention, and people are busy on their cell phones. Great video I put up yesterday, by the way. If you haven't seen it, check out the video we put up about distracted driving. Fantastic video. And I'm biased because I chose it and I put it up there. I think it's very powerful. But let me know. Let me know what you think. Please repeat the raffle site, www.harleyraffle.ca. Let me put it up in a comment. Let me see here. I'm going to add a comment here. I'm going to do it from my other account because it's on screen. So it's www.harleyraffle. Apparently I can't type when I'm on the radio or on the microphone. Raffle.ca. There we go. Hopefully that worked. Cool. Yeah, it's my voiceover cop channel. So, like, who's voiceover cop? Why is he commenting? It's me. Okay. Put police back in schools and do traffic before and after class. You know what? I think that's a great idea. It's not me who makes those decisions, but hopefully one day we'll have the staff and the desire for schools to get us in there, and we'll go there. But we used to do lots of things like CAA. They have the Safety Patroller Program. That was really big. Hopefully they're still able to do that, but we've not been involved with it. Make an Autobahn in Ontario is a suggestion. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think making ways to go faster is a good argument. We want people to go slower. We want people to leave with enough time to get where they have to go. Why doesn't police enforce dark tints, fines, or removal? We do. When we see dark tints, we stop them. Now, granted, here's a big thing that people don't understand. If I'm a police officer and I'm cruising down the road and I am not engaged in any other business, I'm not currently on my way to court, on my way to arrest somebody, on my way with a prisoner, dealing with something, then I'm looking for people I'm looking for violators. If I'm looking for a violator and I catch one, then I pull them over. But there's so much that we're doing. It's not always easy to. If I got a prisoner in the car, I can't pull over and say, there's a person with dark tints. That person's going to get away with it today, and we'll catch him tomorrow because there's always tomorrow. But if as a traffic officer I see it, I'm going to take care of it. Tracy says there's a lot of trolls. Hey, guys, don't troll. Trolling doesn't affect me. I don't see it, but it does affect folks in the community. We got a lot of people here who like to be here that are helping us out, that are here every day. And by the way, thank you very much for those who support us and what we do. I really appreciate it. We are here for you. That's why we're here. That's the whole thing. For the folks who are trying to join me live on screen, I can't take you as a guest. We're a police service, and unless we know who you are and plan it ahead of time, we can't bring you on. Would you ever do a collab with Officer Arsenault? Sean Champagne wants to know. So I'm not against doing a collab with anybody. If you're a creator and you want to do a collab, let me know. Write to me. You can write to me at trafficsafetyprograms@torontopolice.on.ca. But Officer Arsenault retired in October, so he's no longer a police officer. He's doing some other great work, and I see him online all the time. But who knows? Maybe one day we will. What is this? Can't have dark tint because cops need to see who... No, that's not accurate. Someone's suggesting that it's a racist thing. No, the reason you can't have dark tints is because we need to see if you're wearing your seatbelt, if you're on your cell phone, if you're drinking alcohol, and be able to describe you in the event that you get involved in a collision and run, or if it's we're trying to identify a driver. At the end of the day, it's against the law to prevent anyone, not just police, from looking inside. Listen, pedestrians are trying to see inside so they can know if it's safe to cross the road in front of you. They want to make non-verbal communication. But the allegation in that comment is offensive, quite frankly. Nothing to do with race. Listen, I've never pulled over a car that wasn't a car. I looked at the car. The car was doing something, but I didn't know what the driver was. I didn't know what race or color or gender the driver was until they got out of the car or until I got up to the window. So the suggestion that we do something like that is, I think, preposterous. In any case, I'm only speaking from my personal experience. I can't speak for anybody else. And I say that because I don't want people to start making statements that I'm not saying the right thing. Okay, I'm going to turn on this microphone and say, hi, Aaron. How you doing?
Hi. Is that music
It
playing?
is.
I was like, am I hearing things?
So I had this lull where I'm reading and I'm like, we need some music. And I hit the music. I'm like, maybe we need music all the time. And I put a poll up and I'm like, who thinks we should have music all the time? And the overwhelming response was, yeah. So now we're the groovy channel here at, do we need a call sign? We need some kind of like radio TSV.
Yeah. Radio TSV. Love it.
Sorry.
For it.
Acronym for traffic services here is TSV. Okay. Helmet on cycle.
Oh, sorry. Helmet on cycle. Is that just the comment?
No, that's the comment. It's helmet on cycle. Reading it verbatim. I'm assuming you mean like, should cyclists wear helmets? Yeah, they should. Even though you're not legally required to once you turn 18, it is the safest way to play. Your helmet houses that computer, keeps you safe. A very minor smack on the head could cause brain damage, could change your life forever. Think back to Xanta. Xanta is a guy who, my understanding, was a pretty normal guy until he fell off a ladder and it caused some issues. And he then became a guy who ran around wearing a Santa Claus hat, no shirt, doing push-ups on the street and hugging random people. So, things can change. And I'm not dissing him. He was very nice. I never had an issue with him in my times meeting him. I don't know what's happened to him. There was a documentary at one point. Q107 did it.
I've had a couple run-ins with him too in Yorkville, and he was actually again very kind. He was probably bothering some other people, but he was nice to me.
Yeah, never had a problem.
No,
although there were many
great.
people who were offended by his hugging people randomly, and it was he could get quite aggressive. But that's another story. Okay, Chasey says, are plate pouches that dealers use legal? Interesting question, and I actually don't know the answer to that. I would think that they're not, because they're technically in a cover. I understand why they do it. They probably don't run into problems doing it because there's a reason behind it. It's understandable. But I bet you letter of the law that they aren't, and it's an interesting question. It points to you. Diana Ross says, sorry, I said Diana. It's Diane Ross says, should I learn to drive a car before I learn how to drive a motorcycle? Well, you ride a motorcycle, but now you got that lesson. Now, the deal is that the same information is going to be provided to you when you learn. You're going to be just about as capable after reading a book to drive, because the difference is that you don't have a supervisor. You can ride on your own with an M1 with no passenger during daylight hours, whereas in a car you're going to be supervised. So you don't have. It's a plus and a minus. You don't have the supervision to tell you what you're doing wrong. You also don't have bad supervision to give you bad advice. So my advice would be actually here, I think this is the right answer. Get your M1, go take a course. Fantastic people teach motorcycle courses. Really, people who are passionate about riding are in there. And in a weekend, after that weekend, as long as you've had at least 30 days with your M1, even if it was only living in your pocket, you are eligible to get your M2, which allows you some freedom. Now, motorcycling isn't for everybody. I acknowledge that. Nothing to say, though, that you can't do the motorcycle first. Whatever is going to motivate you to do it, do it. What is this? Okay, let's get back into questions. Oh, my wife is suggesting I said groove or groovy, and the music is making her laugh. Yes. I don't know, but it is a groove. We're doing it. I don't think the other music selections, because here's what the selections are. I can choose future pop, ambient, which we've already determined stunk, chill hop, lo-fi, hip hop, lounge, down tempo, and chill. Chill wasn't good. So this is currently, I think this is chill. No, this is lounge. What do you think, Aaron? Is it working?
The music.
It's not offensive. It's not too loud. It's not bad. All right, let's get back into some questions, because I can.
Reminds me of like a coffee shop.
But coffee shop is okay. I like coffee.
A chill lounge.
I got coffee right here.
Somebody asked me a question in the chat, and I can't. It's too much to type, so I'm just going to read it out loud.
Okay.
Would you ticket a police car parked in a handicapped or an accessible spot at Wendy's? So if they're sitting in their car eating in an accessible spot, I would certainly ask them to move. And I have done that in the past. I've seen, especially on the street behind police headquarters, Grenville Street, there are 2 accessible loading zones there where I have seen police cars parked there before. And I've told them, hey, maybe don't park there.
Maybe.
Or definitely don't park there. Not a good look. And
optics.
As well as special constables who park there. And I'm like, hey, don't park there. Go somewhere else. Because those spaces are intended for Wheel-Trans, because those are some co-op buildings around that street. And yeah, I have definitely, have I ticketed a marked police car in a handicap spot or an accessible spot? No, but I have spoken to them.
But it's also different if they're responding to a call. So if it's
Of
a
course.
911 call, there's a fight, there's an arrest, there's something going on. We park where we park, sidewalks,
Yes.
halfway on the road, in the road. We'll do what we got to do. We'll try and do our best not to, negatively impact anyone in terms. Well, obviously no impact, but we don't hit anybody. But in terms of parking, we don't want to take away an accessible permit for someone who.
Oh, again. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, but this time,
what's going on?
oh, this is good. The lights went out, but not everything. The computer stayed up. I'm developing anxiety about power failures now. If you're just joining us, you don't realize that the lights have gone out twice, sort of. It's been difficult. Once before the show and once after. But in any case, yeah, I'm really passionate about accessible permits. I rely on them it used to be more. But I've been getting a little better, and I'm using them less. But I have an accessible permit because some days I can't walk very well, so I require it, and I'm doing better. Even on my worst days, I'm doing better than people who really need it more. And I don't even use the spot unless I absolutely need it. So, but my mother used to need it horribly, and she had a condition which created a lot of pain, and she had to use a wheelchair. Well, she would have me park somewhere else because she wanted someone who needed it more than her. So someone abusing it, regardless of who they are, makes me sick. There we go. Okay. Someone wants to know if I've ever received a ticket. Have I ever gotten a ticket? I have, when I was like 16 or 17. And I'll tell you something, and I say this all the time. Those tickets did what they were designed to do. They changed my behavior. They gave me a wake-up call to be more alert, to be more responsible. So one was it was a stop sign ticket in the GTA, and I was going to a friend's house, and I didn't even see it. I was so out to lunch as a 16-year-old driver that I didn't even see it. But the funny part, and why I laughed, is because I keep seeing the officer who gave me that ticket. He's still a member of a police service, and whenever I run into him, I tell him, and he goes, "You tell me every time you see me that I gave you a ticket." And I'm like, and I will continue to forever. Because but it was the best thing ever because I think he made me a better driver. So I think it's a ticket that I can legitimately say now that I'm not 16, I really appreciate. I also got a ticket for speeding, I think on the Highway 7 once, like as a kid. Same area, but I slowed down. Those things could have saved my life. Maybe they're the reason I'm here today. Let's see here. Funny how you never got another ticket since you became an officer is Edwin's comment. Not only did I never get a ticket, I only became an officer like when I was 38. So there was a lot of not getting a ticket in between 16 and 38, I'll have you know. But I never got a ticket afterwards because I didn't do anything to get a ticket. But that's it. No one's going to believe me anyway, so.
Yeah, I can't say the same, not going to lie. I've gotten parking tickets recently, too. But I know I did wrong, so I paid it.
Well, I can't think of any. My father's had tickets. I get the phone call where I got a ticket. I'm like, no kidding. Were you speeding? He goes, yeah. I said, good for you. I'm glad you're telling me. What do you want me to do about that? It's funny. As a police officer, I often get calls from friends and family who said, I got a ticket. I'm like, well, were you wrong? You did it. If you really think you're innocent, you have the right to go to court. But what a waste of time court is. And I don't mean that for people who are falsely or incorrectly. There's a reason for it. But if you did it, and you know you did it, don't waste it. Don't waste everybody's money. It's this taxpayer money that goes to court. Okay. Someone's talking about Lamborghinis in Peterborough?
Yeah, there was a master technician there saying that they had an accessible permit. And I replied in the chat saying, hey, that could be very well that driver's, because that's happened to me. I was looking at a very fancy sport car one day and looking at the permit, and the driver was sitting on a patio, and he's like, do you want me to take out the permit and inspect it? And I was like, nope, I believe it.
But there's a lot of reasons that people can qualify for permits. It's not just visible disabilities. It could be anything. And, before you judge people for what is going on, just assume that whatever that they have that justifies their having it is probably something you don't want to deal with for yourself. My father always said that if everyone got around and sat at a table and put their own problems on the table for everyone to see, at the end of the day, you would take your own troubles home because they would be better than whatever everybody else. Because your problems are yours. You know what they are. Everyone else's, when out in the open, look worse than what you're used to. At least that's I think the gist of it. How much tint is legal in the front? In the front windshield? None. Zero. Zilch. Nada. You can't have any tint on your windshield. That's not legal. A lot of people seem to want to do it. And I was in Orange County, in Orlando, Florida, Orange County Sheriff's Office. They were saying that suddenly everybody wants to tint their windshield. It's not legal there too, by the way. So the legal limit for tint, because we'll go, since we hit the horn, we'll have to talk about it. Windows left and right of the driver, immediately left and right of the driver. Those can be no more than 30% light blockage. That means 70% of the light has to get through. Everyone says, well, what does that mean? Well, it means that 30% light blockage or 70%, that's how we get to 100. You can't prevent people from seeing inside. So at night, ambient, or what's it called? Basically conditions, lighting conditions. If it's dark outside and in the combination of dark outside and tinted windows, we can't see in, it's still illegal. And you'd be charged for obscure interior vehicle with color coating or reflective coating. Yeah, I think that's what it is. So at the end of the day, be careful with what you tint because it's not safe. And if you tint with what a lot of people say, 5%, well, 5% means 95% light blockage, only allowing 5% in. If it's truly that's an unsafe vehicle. I'll take your license plates. Because you can't see, and people can't see you, both directions. You have to be able to see. It's a big thing. Master Technician says 30% light allowance forward of B-pillars. I like the way you've described it, and I'm going to steal that because the law actually says left and right of driver, immediately left and right of the driver. But I like that B-pillar concept of giving people a visual. Makes a lot of sense. So thank you for that. We should give you like a badge. We can't assign you a badge, but we just badged you as a linguist here. Good. What do we say? You say it backwards, though. No, I say it both ways. 30% light blockage, 70% light. Which way would you say it? Vehicle Valley? Are gradient tints legal? As long as they don't, I imagine they're legal as long as they do not break the rules. So if their gradients at no point in the gradient are darker than the allowable max, then they'd be okay, I imagine. I say I imagine because I've never dealt with a gradient tint before. Off topic, but you totally have a radio voice. Funny you should say that. I was on the radio this morning.
I responded to that. I'm like, yes, he does, and he knows it.
I've heard it a couple of times. But thank you very much. It never gets old. I really appreciate it. And oddly enough, I'm not really on the radio. I guest on the radio. Let's see here. Hey, 574,577. I missed the 574 I was going to screen cap. But I've got a ticker going here. I use livecounts.io. I'm not promoting them because they're a free site, but I think it's really cool that I can see the ticker of people following us. I can also see that we're at 3,340,672 likes, which is, it doesn't really translate to anything, but it is cool. Is loud music considered excessive noise? It can be. The deal is that you can't create unnecessary noise through a horn or anything in your vehicle, a sounding device, and that includes a stereo. But whether it be the defect or intention or behavior. So if you are blasting your stereo and honking your horn, and that's unnecessary noise. So yes, you can be charged. Suddenly I think this music is loud. Knock it down a bit. Was it too loud? Was it overpowering?
I don't think it's overpowering. I think it's just like in the quiet moments where you're not speaking, it seems
I'm not
louder.
used to it, so it seems...
Is this the first day with it?
I've never used it before. I may have accidentally triggered it and couldn't figure out how to turn it off. That was different. I've now figured it out. But it is... I'm kind of getting used to it. I don't get lost. Anybody watch Bosch? Bosch, it's on Amazon Prime Video. I don't know where else it was, but I really liked Bosch. And now Bosch... so Bosch had he's all about jazz music. And that's one of the things. He's a police officer, LAPD, in the original Bosch 4 seasons, I think. And he's big into jazz. And he had such a great intro music. And whenever they had music, it was good. But they have now Bosch Legacy, where he's now a private eye and his daughter is an LAPD officer. And they've changed the intro. But I missed the original intro. Just saying. These are me problems. At what point should you report another car? So if you're talking about the driving of another vehicle or the condition of a vehicle, listen, there are different ways to do it. If you're in the city of Toronto, you can go to www.torontopolice.on.ca/CORE, C-O-R-E. It stands for Citizen Online Report Entry. There you can report behavior in the area, behavior being, this stop sign, nobody stops. You can report that. You can also report specific vehicles. And if it's something about a vehicle, whether it be, it's lowered, it's tinted, it's something like that would fall into that. If it's driver behavior also. If you're talking about something like impaired driving where someone's weaving or speeding excessively or doing things that are just unsafe and it's an immediate cause for concern, and you think someone's going to get hurt now, call 911. That's what it's for. Don't call 911 unless it's a 911 call. That's the big thing. We have people who say, my neighbor's playing loud music. They call 911. Please don't do that. Please don't abuse 911. Not to mention the fact that you can get charged for abusing it if it's really not appropriate. What do we got here? Tracy says, no, I don't know what we're talking about. There's a conversation. It's an AB conversation.
Yeah,
So I'm going to see my way out.
Spamming saying, if my wife is in labor, can I speed? Everyone answered no.
Well, let me answer no. In the big box on the screen, if your wife is in labor, call an ambulance. There is no justification for speeding. I don't care if you're bleeding, if you're being chased. You're not allowed to legally speed. Now, you do what you do, and if you cause death, well, that's a problem. You can't justify. You can't take it back. So just because you've got to get somewhere because things are stressful, and let me tell you, I'm a father of two. That's 2 pregnancies that I witnessed my wife do amazing things during. She ensured that I was planning ahead. There was that doula thing, and then we were going down well in advance because we were paying attention. We weren't waiting until last minute. Listen, we don't leave last minute for anything. But being that this was a big deal, pregnancy and safety, we took our time. We drove slowly. There was no urgency. We got there, lots of time. Actually, funny story. Like she's going to kick me or worse when I get home. But we got there, and there was a woman who was going crazy. Like she's going to have a baby right now. Doctors, and they checked, and she wasn't going to have a baby right now. But she was really panicking. So take that panic and picture it on the passenger seat. This is not a nice way to drive. It's not a safe way to drive because you're stressed out. This is why you rely on an ambulance. Now, conversely, my wife, who is like chilled out, we're glad we're here, we got all our stuff, maybe we'll get a snack, and then doctor checks her out and says, you're having a baby now. So totally different situation. But again, no reason to stress. And if it is a reason to stress, definitely don't be the driver. Okay. Let a professional drive. They got lights and sirens. They do it differently. They avoid traffic and no stress. You can be a passenger. What is it? Oh, and someone asked about child restraints in a Uber or ride share scenario.
Taxi, yeah.
Well, taxi and Uber, 2 different things. Listen, for safety, you should always use a child seat. But TTC or public transit and school buses, for instance, and taxis don't require child restraints. Ubers do not fall under that. Ubers and rideshare do. You have to have a proper seat, or they can be charged for allowing the child to be transported. In fact, it's my understanding that rideshare services should not or should be refusing you if you have children that require those. So that's a thing. And many people don't realize that, and they put themselves into a really serious position. Now, is it safe? No, even if in a taxi, it's not safe. But there's a provision saying you need to get out of whatever you're getting out of, whether it be elements or just you've got no other way to transport. They've given you the ability to, but it doesn't make it safe. So I only transported children in approved proper transport stuff. Okay.
Someone has a question.
Is this AHA?
No, it's hold on, let me find it up here because I really missed the Q&A. It was like,
no kidding.
If there's a stop here on the line, stop here on red light, and can they make a right turn? And I said, if there's no sign advising no right turn, you can proceed with turning.
Yes,
it's just the line saying
that's
stop
where you
here
must
on the red.
stop. And once you've completed the stop, then assuming it's not signed otherwise and safe to do so, then you can proceed. Now, if the stop is because it's an odd intersection and it's like a kilometer or it's like 500 meters up to make the right turn, no, you can't enter the intersection. You have to be at the intersection to make that turn on red. There's some strange intersections that you would think, well, it says right turn on red, but yeah, no, that's different. That's a right turn that's well past the light. That would be proceed before green. You'd be charged for that. What's the punishment for a 15-year-old driver? That's a good question. It's going to be drive no license. The parents who made the vehicle accessible to them, or the owner of the vehicle, if it's not the parents, could be charged. And if the child took it without permission, they can be charged criminally. So you are criminally responsible at 15, so you'd be charged. What is this? Someone's talking about licenses, motorcycles. What is this? Tracy says different licenses. What are we talking about here? This sounds like, is this about drinking and alcohol? What are we talking about here? As I scroll down, thankfully we've got music to deal with this. I'm not seeing it. Someone ask it again. Clarify what the question is so I can weigh in on this, because I don't want to. I want to make sure there's no incorrect data. And Dallas Capel says, I've driven with no license when I was 15. I did too, in a parking lot. Like I went forward and back, and that was done. M1 versus G1, different license. It's a different endorsement. So really there's one license, and you have a G1 is allowing you the endorsement to operate a car and all the joy that goes with it. And M1 has different privileges, but it's a different endorsement on really the same license. But it's such a, you get one card, you don't get two cards, you don't have multiple licenses. Or am I twisting the truth? Am I incorrect? If someone is at the ministry and says there are really two licenses and it's not designations, let me know. Because
I have a question for you, because I've seen it pop up quite a lot. Are you allowed to twist your chains when hooking up your trailer, like if the chains drag?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you have to cross them. Twisting them could make them fail. So my understanding is you can't twist them. So if you wind them up, you're going to create a situation where under stress they could fail. And I would not suggest that. Better they drag, or you have appropriately, you change the length of your chain or the way it's affixed to the trailer. They should be the appropriate length. Interesting though. Mm-hmm. I've never really had someone say, "Please, I want to twist my chains."
Yeah,
but I get why.
Yeah, obscure questions here for it.
What's probably causing the issue, and just to delve into this deeper than I need to, is that you may have your trailer loaded incorrectly, so that the tongue is too heavy, and that your rear suspension is sagging, so that you're now closer to the ground than you should be. That's probably the larger issue that's notifying you of. Okay. Do police have body cams now? Depends on the police service. But yes, Toronto Police does have body cams, and I think everybody on the road right now is either close to being qualified or is already qualified. But we do have them. What is this? I would imagine it's the same process as before, but now it's free. Is this for renewing your plates? Renewing plates, if this is what we're talking about, and I'll throw it out there because many people are confused about this. License plates now need to be renewed. It's free to do it, but you must do it. Again, no cost, and if it's for vehicles that are under 3,000 kilos, if I'm not mistaken, that are required to renew but not pay. Vehicles that are higher weight may still be required to pay. You go online, you enter your certificate number, so your permit number. They ask you to verify a couple pieces of information. They may ask you for confirmation of your insurance, although when I did my father's, it didn't ask for that information and allowed me to choose 1 or 2 years. I do not understand why anyone for free would choose, let me have to do this again next year, instead of just choosing 2 years and do it for 2 years. But it's an option. What do we got here? Still trying, don't know what we're talking about. Lots to talk about. Hey, we're still growing. Look at that. Can you talk about the process through the police academy? So what can I tell you about this? Things that may have changed to some degree. So I can tell you about my experience. Essentially, I had been to the Toronto Police College a couple of times because I was an auxiliary officer, then a court officer, then I left courts and came back to courts and went back to the college again, and then transferred and became a police officer. I went to the Toronto Police College, which was called pre-Elmer. And then I went to the Ontario Police College in Elmer, Ontario, and did that, and then came back for post-Elmer, and then I had my graduation and I was sent to the road to then be with a coach officer. So I don't know what elements of the police college you want to know about. You know, is there training? We were trained on all the laws. We're trained on driving and firearms and use of force, and it's a fantastic experience. Although a lot of eggs.
Yes. I do believe after Elmer now, you do go to the Toronto Police College for 6 weeks of additional training.
Instead of 4. I think they've added.
Yes, and then you're sent to your divisions and coach officers and whatnot.
You know what? It's a fantastic process. If you're interested in becoming a member of the Toronto Police Service, check out www.torontopolice.on.ca/careers. We're hiring for police officers, parking enforcement officers, civilian roles, special constables. There's always job postings, and if there's not one there right now, know that check back regularly because there's new jobs all the time. We are always hiring people, and it's a great organization. Depends on what you're looking for. It's not for everybody. For me, this has been the best thing and a lifelong dream. I had wanted to be a police officer since I was a kid, and here I am. I'm not working in the way I thought I'd be working. I never, ever predicted or would have, seen myself in this role, sitting in front of you online, being held in a phone in your hand. It's kind of weird. No, I never would have guessed it, but it has turned out to be the best thing. And the reason I bring this up is because this career has many jobs. I started as an auxiliary volunteer, which is a fantastic way to volunteer and give back to your community, and also test drive whether or not policing environment is really one that you want to be in. Now, once we get over that, I became a court officer. I was having so much fun as an auxiliary, and I'd made a commitment there, even though they started hiring. Because I became an auxiliary because there was a hiring freeze. There was no other opportunity to join. So I joined up, and I was having so much fun. I wanted to do it full time. So how do you do that? Well, I saw a job posting for courts, and I applied, and I got it. And you know what? So many fantastic people in my career as a court officer. But then I became an auxiliary sergeant. Even though I was a volunteer, there's management roles within the auxiliary volunteer, what's it called? Infrastructure? That's what I'm looking for. And I did that and gained some experience. And then I became a supervisor within courts, and I had great experiences in auxiliary that got me ready for the job of supervisor. And that really did, I believe, prepare me for that management role. So I took those two uniforms and traded them in and became a police officer. And here I am. I've worked in a division, at 12 Division, where I started my career. I then became a traffic officer on the road doing divisional response. Then I became a motor squad officer. I worked in the CIB for a stint. And then I went back to the motor squad, and I was ultimately involved in a motor vehicle collision. I was struck when I was on my motorcycle, and I was in light duties. I was doing administrative work. And then I started supporting the media relations officer, and now I am a media relations officer. So it's funny how things go. Let's find some more questions, because we've gone all over the place today. U-turn. I had a close call while making a U-turn at a green light while other vehicle was making a right turn on red. Who could have been at fault? You could have both been at fault. You're both required to only perform those functions when it's safe to do so. So it kind of becomes a situation of who's there first, but at the end of the day, you're both responsible. Any turning movement puts you in a position of fault, whether it's split or sole fault. So what happens? U-turn is possibly the most single dangerous maneuver because there's a lot going on. There's a lot of potential for bad stuff, essentially. By the way, Foxy Boots, hi. So I saw your hi as it scrolled by. My friend who's a tattoo artist on TikTok, you should check her out. So the deal is that it depends. I can't tell you for certain who would be responsible, but I would say there's a better way to change your direction than a U-turn in most cases. That would be turning into a driveway and safely doing it off the road. Hey, making a bunch of right turns will get you back in the direction you're trying to go. Very often we make decisions to make a turn, and that turn could put you in a situation, and you know what, people have lost their lives over a U-turn. Invest a couple more seconds and do it as safe as you can. Right turns, got to make sure you're safe to make a right turn on red too. Can you get a ticket for driving without a shirt on? If not, does driving a commercial vehicle make the difference? I'm not aware of any ticket for topless driving, male or female. Well, actually, so here we go. Controversial. It's legal to be topless as a female in Ontario. Is it Canada? Is it maybe a Canada-wide thing?
I'm not sure about that.
It's like the law that nobody ever uses, so or rarely uses, except on certain weekends.
Like this weekend, Pride. I'm sure we're going to see lots of that this weekend.
Yeah. It's been a long time since I've worked the Pride event. I hope anyone who goes there has a fabulous time and stays safe. And I've heard of all sorts of things in the news today that are being done because of some concerns for safety. So if you're going, be safe and be happy. I wish you the best. I won't be celebrating with you this weekend, although many of my friends are going. But my point is that as long as it's for non-commercial purposes, so you can't be working topless. I don't know.
I don't think you could be driving a FedEx truck.
Well, you can't
topless.
So the reason this comes up, boy, we're going on. This is not traffic right now, but there was a restaurant that was featuring topless servers, and that was deemed to be not legal.
Is that here in Toronto?
I don't know if it was Toronto or where it was.
I don't know.
But I remember reading about it. Oddly enough, things like this stick out in my brain. Maybe there was a car wash that tried to launch too. There was a topless car wash, and that got shut down. And then there was an argument that if it was for tips only, they weren't being... Anyway, it's a mess. And I am not... I don't know enough about this. I'm going to stop talking. So Josh, I don't think there's a charge for you being topless in a commercial or otherwise vehicle. I'm now going to search the Highway Traffic Act to find out if that is accurate, but I don't think it falls under the Highway Traffic Act. Maybe there's a rule at work.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe like individual company policies, probably, no shirt, no service.
And if you are in a different province or country, different rules could be involved. So in Ontario, I'm not aware of one. But again, I am going to now look for this. Does a written warning show up for all departments or just the issuing one? Great question. So the issuing one will see it without question, but there may be an entry that we can request to see. So in the past, I've gone into the system and seen that there were files. I click on the file, I type in a request, why I'm looking for it, and I can see it. So and it depends on if they're on the same system as us. Some provinces and some areas may not subscribe. Maybe they have a paper-based system. And there are still many police services, smaller services, that are very much a paper-driven entity. They don't have the same kind of connectivity for dispatch that we do. Folks, it has been a slice. I'm always enjoying doing this. We do it Monday to Friday. I say it's generally Monday to Friday because there are those days, and we are police officers, and sometimes there's things that take priority, like we are launching campaigns and doing media relations with mainstream media, and sometimes there's a launch that requires us all to be there. And I try and take you with me. Doesn't always work out. But I do appreciate all the time you spend with us. There's some stuff going on that I really am looking forward to sharing with you, but I can't share yet. So keep an eye out for news and things. I got a great video that I'm going to post talking about bicycles and speeding. I say it's a great video. It may not be, but I think it is because I made it.
And then it's great information because you know what? Some of those bikes do go very fast.
So you know what? Maybe I need to re-record it and talk about e-bikes too. But so basically the question is discussing, can you get a speeding ticket on a bike? On a bicycle, and there's some interesting things. We're going to talk about it. What else? Would you ever? Oh, Greg wants to know if we would ever have the OPP on with you guys. So I was on the phone Friday. What day is it today? Not Friday. Is it yesterday? Days are blending together. It might even yesterday. I think I was on the phone with Carrie Schmidt from the OPP. We're going to be at Honda Indy. That I can talk about. Honda Indy. If you're going to be at Honda Indy, please come say hello. We're going to have a booth there. I'll be there all weekend, and I think we're going to do some live streaming from there. And we'll, of course, have Carrie right there standing next to me, and hopefully we can have him guest on the show. And it's going to be fun. But Carrie's a great guy. We see him all the time, and we do a lot of different things together. So be on the lookout for that. And Honda Indy, any race fans here? Oh, we're going to do a little poll. So we still have a few hundred people in here. We have, happy face, Honda Indy fan, sad face, not a fan. Are you going to Honda Indy? We are, I can't say I'm a race fan that I track and follow along with this all the time, but I really do like going once a year and seeing it. There's something about being involved, even if I'm as a spectator, that I think is fascinating. I love the cars. I actually was this is going back a couple of years because it was pre-COVID, but I was on the track. I got to be in a pace car. Well, I was actually a Toronto police car. We got to lead this secondary race. It wasn't an Indy race. It was these big 4x4. I say 4x4. I have no idea if they were four-wheel drive, but they're like big tires, but little cars. Maybe they were side-by-sides. They could have been side-by-sides, but like race-prepped side-by-sides. And they were up on two wheels doing all sorts of tricks. Wild machines. Looked very unsafe, but they're professionals apparently. And I got to lead that first lap, and it was pretty cool. So I hope to be able to do things like that and bring you along for the ride through social media. And look at that, tied up. We got half to say yes, Indy, half to say no, Indy. Mind you, that's only 12 people who actually cared enough to respond. But that's cool. What do we got here? Have you ever? What is this? Is a toddler car seat needed in an Uber? We covered that. Oh my goodness, we're way behind. Can I cut the roof off my car? Can you make a convertible out of your car? People do it. Do I think it's safe? Vehicles that are designed to be convertibles are designed to have structure in the front windshield to be able to hold the vehicle up and not crush you and destroy you on a rollover. I don't think it's truly legal, although I do see custom cars done up like that. I think you'd be looking for trouble. trouble. Now, mind you, if you put a roll cage in, you might be able to deal with some of that. But I can't speak as an authority on whether or not it's truly. I just don't think it's the right thing to do. What is considered distracted driving? I got a ticket for signing to my deaf son. Well, that's ridiculous. I say it's ridiculous because that's not distracted driving. Depends on where you are. That you would definitely have a defense in Ontario. I imagine anywhere in the world, because signing is not distraction. Now, I don't know what else is going on, but in terms of simply speaking or communicating with sign language is not distracted driving that I'm aware of. I couldn't see anyone anywhere. Anyway, I'm shocked that was your experience. But distracted driving in Ontario is the use of a handheld communication device or a handheld entertainment device, period. That's about it. Or looking at somebody else's screen. So if I had my Instagram up and I showed it to my driver, and if I was the passenger, they're looking at the screen would be also distracted driving. But I've heard in provinces other than Ontario that even drinking water is distracted. So it really depends on where you are. But if someone were to actually convict you for communicating in sign language, I think, I don't know, there's something wrong in the world. All right. How do I turn off this crazy music? There we go. We're shutting it down. We'll play the goodbye tune. As always, it's a pleasure to be here. We'll be back tomorrow from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hopefully without power failures or rebooting or any such nonsense like we had today. Greg says, I'm working and live in Montreal, so I don't know if I can swing a trip to TO this weekend. Well, we're not that far away. I used to go to Montreal on the weekend. I had a friend who lived in NDG. We used to go to Picasso's for Montreal smoked meat, the best sandwiches in the world. And now I want a sandwich. Thanks for Montrealing me.
Have a great Wednesday, everyone. Stay cool. It's hot out there.
Yes, be safe, hydrate, do all that jazz. And if you're going to drive, do it sober. No drugs, no alcohol.
And park legally.
Park legally. I like that. All right. Have a good one.